Hello and welcome to the business level. Today we will go further in intercultural communication. Last time we talked about the art of tea as one of the aspects of how to do business in Asia. Today we will go more about business negotiation itself, how it happens, etc. And we will compare this to the European and American market. First of all, something you need to know is that in Asia, nothing is as direct as it is here in Europe or in America. So what does this mean for us as international marketeers, as international businessmen? Well, if you go to Asia, you are not going directly to the office to negotiate about a deal. The first meeting never happens at the office. It always happens at a neutral place. At the first meeting, it's not about getting to know the product. You don't go directly to the specifics of the contract you want to make with them. It's more about who are you as a person, what does your company represent, and how can they bring added value to the company of the client you're meeting. So what this means is they will not look at you as contract number 4, contract number 5, etc. They will look at you first of all as a person. If I come dressed in a shirt like this, I don't have the deal. So normally you dress well, dress to impress. So in Asia you still see that a lot of business people actually wear a suit. Here in Europe, it's people are getting over it. Here in Europe, you can actually see a CEO just walk into the office wearing shorts, wearing a t-shirt, and yes, I'm wearing that right now because it's fucking 35 degrees outside. You see what I mean? That doesn't happen in Asia. In Asia, you wear a suit. Not always with a necktie, but in most cases, a full suit. Another thing that happens is when you go to such a neutral place, they look at your manners. Like I said in the last video, manners are everything. And that's where the art of tea comes in. So the art of tea is used to see what kind of person they are dealing with. The next thing is you need to put your company in the right daylight. So instead of going in a direct way, this is what our company does, this is what we've been doing for years, and these are our fields of expertise. No, you are going to talk with them about how can our company bring added value to your company. You look at the values that match and you talk about those before you go further into the contract. Another thing is, in Asia you don't negotiate the contract on the first day. On the first day, it's an introduction. The second meeting you have, there you start talking about the contract. And even then, you don't always use a direct way. Because, for instance, if you're in Korea, you don't want to be direct. You first want to lay a solid foundation. You want to make the right contacts. Because there, a contract isn't just a contract. It's not, oh, we have a deal with company A about buying so many products of theirs and selling them in our stores or something like that. It doesn't happen like that. What happens is we want a long-term partnership. That's how an Asian stakeholder will look at you. They want not only to look at your contract and that it suits their company, but they want to have multiple contracts. So if you prepare one contract now and it's like, that's the only contract we do in Asia, that doesn't work. Asia is a market that always needs new contracts. You need to renegotiate with them on a, let's say, yearly or 2-yearly base. Other things that happen in Asia that you don't often see here in Europe is, partnerships through friendship. A very weird situation because here in Europe and in the US they say we keep business and friendship separate. although in Asia they also say this, it isn't really the case, because if you go on any business meeting with people, they want to build a connection with you, a friendship. Okay, it's not always a deep friendship, but when you negotiate with them, they will ask you about how your family is, how you've been lately, etc. That's something that doesn't really happen anymore in the US or here in Europe. And that's one of the things. Another thing is respect. So all of this combined is, if we are here in Belgium, and I would say, well, here is my business card. Normally you give it with one hand and you do it like this, so that they can take it and it easily gets out of your fingers. In Asia, there is a whole etiquette for it. So you take your card out of your pocket, take it out, you look at it yourself, then you turn it, and then you hand it over by grabbing the two corners and bowing. So it means you are handing it always over with the full details already in your sight when they have it, like this, and you bow to show your respect. So for instance, 감사합니다. You say thank you, because they accept you as a person, they accept who you are. And that's important, acceptance. Intercultural communication can be hard, and what I just talked about is literally from my own perspective, the perspective I personally have seen when I was in Asia, in multiple markets even. And when you negotiate with a business partner, it's always good to look at what's their background, what is the things they like to do. Here in Europe, they call it stalking, but in Asia it's common. For instance, you see a lot of people that talk about golf, for instance, a very huge sport in Asia. If you are here in Europe and you talk about golf in a business meeting, they will say like, what's the point? Or why are you stalking me? How do you know I play golf? Those things are totally different. But in Asia, they like to talk about these aspects because it builds that friendship, like I said. A friendship is more important than a business itself. You could say that all of the business, or the majority, over 90% in Asia, happens in a non-direct way. It means that you need to take a detour to get to your goal. And this detour can mean that one negotiation can be 5 to 10 meetings that in Europe you only need 1 to a maximum of 3 meetings for. But the contract itself is more solid and has a ground for improvement in the future. It is also more like a circular contract, because it can renew. If you keep that healthy relationship with that company and with their people, then they will keep working with you, because that's how important it is. In Europe, it's more profit-wise. I can have worked with a company for, let's say, 20 years, and now I get new deals in. Each 4 to 5 years I overlook the contract again, and the company I've worked with for 20 years, they stick to their old price. But there is a new company that offers the same products, but they offer it at a discounted price of 20% for the next 4 or 5 years. Then here in Europe, I would say I take the contract of 20%. If this happens in Asia, and it is, for instance, not a huge difference, and what I mean with that is the monetary value is not a huge difference, because 20% is huge, but for instance, let's say it is a difference on 500 euros to 400 euros, something like that, and they say, okay, but that company has served us for 20 years, we are very happy with our service, we are very happy with how they work together with us, and we have heard about the new company that their customer service is horrible. Well, they will stick with their current company. Here in Europe, they will try just to take the company with the less amount of money they need to invest. So what does this mean for negotiation, what we are talking about? Don't be direct in Asia. Be a little bit indirect, be a little bit around the corner, but when they ask questions about the contract itself, try to talk about them in very serious and very direct ways. That's another difference. Here in Belgium, if you talk about a contract and people ask for explanation of a clause, it can be very lengthy. You might even have a talk about 10 to 20 minutes about that specific aspect. In Asia, for instance in South Korea, they want to know that aspect in 1 to 5 sentences. It means they need to know the gist of it. They don't need to know the full story behind it and why did you put that in. No, they want to know why is it here, what is it, and how does it work. Each in 1 sentence, preferably. So keep it short. Keep it direct, keep it short. That's the Asian way. If you're here in Europe, you know, sometimes if you're talking about one clause of a contract, it can be like a discussion of over 30 minutes just to come to the conclusion that, oh yeah, we do that in every of our contracts. For instance, an NDA clause. It happens often. If you are in Asia and you say, well, we have an NDA, oh, why do you have that NDA? Well, we have the NDA because our research is protected by our company, and that's why we want our partners to also sign off on this NDA because we don't want any information leaked. That's what you would say in Asia, and they would understand. If you're here in Europe, you would say, well, due to the privacy laws, GDPR, and etc., we have to do this from the government side of things. Our company also has some research that we have, so we can't really talk about it on public, etc. And it can be a very lengthy conversation depending on how intricate the clause itself is. So that's what I mean with be direct itself when it asks a question about the contract itself, but be indirect when you are first negotiating. It's a difference, but it works. And this was a little podcast today about, well, contracts, international contracts and how to negotiate. So I hope you enjoyed this, and for next week's we are diving further within intercultural communication between Europe, US and Asia, and we will talk more about the informal side. We will talk about what to do when you visit a country. For instance, let's say you visit South Korea as a European, how should you behave? Because everything is monitored globally. They look at how you present yourself. And that's very important. So we will talk about that next week. I hope you enjoyed this little podcast. See you next week.